Good evening, everyone. It's Sarah from TheaBel, and in tonight's video, we're going to be talking about what makes TheaBel different from a lot of the other marketplaces that bring together local crafters. There's a lot of confusion around it because TheaBel is a little bit different, and there isn't really anyone that I have found that does what we do, which makes it very easy to be confused. So I'm going to use the best analogy that I have to explain kind of how we fit into things by using the analogy of a mall. So I often get emails from people who are sending me links to companies like Etsy. Etsy is kind of one of the bigger ones, but there's a lot of local Calgary, Alberta, I've seen them all over the place. There's some in Europe where they all kind of operate the same way. They provide a framework for local businesses to pay a fee, and they can make use of the website. So you think like Etsy, you can pay an amount of money and you're given a little section of their website that you can use. So kind of like a mall. So you get, they provide the mall itself, and you can rent a storefront in the mall. So this works really well for vendors because, people are coming into the mall through, the management bringing people in. But it's a little bit different than how we do things because there's a lot of work on the actual creators. So it's up to them to manage their own store. So just like in a mall, it's your job to get people into the store. The mall can be crowded, but if people aren't coming into your store, you're not going to make any money. So when they come into the store, it's going to be up to you to entice them to buy something through promotions, catchy descriptions, good photos. It's your job to do customer service, to answer questions. And ultimately, when it comes time to purchase, it's going to be your job to ring through the transaction and then go to the post office to ship something out. So this generally works really well, but it's a little bit different than what TheaBel does. We are more like a department store. So we can operate within the mall framework, but we house all of our stuff under the same roof. So just like when you go to a department store and you can browse, electronics, houseware, clothing, and then go to one till when you're done and buy everything and put it in one bag, that's very much what TheaBel is. So you'll see people like in a mall scenario, well, they'll have 5 or 6 shopping bags that they're carrying around with them. This is very much like in Etsy or some of the competitors, is that every purchase you do, even if there's one cart transaction, you're going to be paying multiple shipping charges and having things shipping from multiple places. So this is one of the reasons that I've actually never made a purchase through Etsy. I've abandoned a lot of shopping carts, but every time I get to checkout, the shipping cost often costs more than the items themselves, and I just cannot justify it. So this is kind of where TheaBel can be a little bit different because everything's shipping together. It doesn't really make much difference to the shipping companies if the box is a little bit bigger than one item. So if we can ship all 6 items that you want in one box, it's going to be a lot cheaper than doing 6 different transactions. The real advantage too is, heaven forbid, if anything goes wrong, you have one point of contact, because that's me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure that you have a really wonderful experience with our site. So that means it's just me. You're going to follow up with me if there's any problems with shippings or if things arrive damaged. Whereas if you're dealing with multiple vendors, there could be multiple points of contact, multiple storefronts that you need to deal with. So that's kind of where TheaBel can save you time and money is on shipping. We can make it easy because it is one transaction. You can shop from multiple vendors, but then everything ships together. So it's kind of fun for our customers. But how exactly does that work from our vendor side? So that's the other really big difference between us and something, I use Etsy just because everyone knows what it is, but there are a lot of other ones out there, as I mentioned. So one of the really big differences is that every vendor is, I work with very, very closely. All of the vendors, this has to be a mutual long-term working relationship. So my vendors are screened. If we're not going to get along, I'm not going to take them on because I do contact them on a regular basis because I work on commissions. So that's another really big difference. If my fate is entirely tied to my vendors, they are basically paying me to represent them and sell their products. So that means that I'm here to grow them. So they get me. They get my 10 years or over 10 years now of marketing experience. I want them to be successful because the more money they make, the more money I can make. So they get a little bit of one-on-one help from me. I can help them with lots of tips and tricks on how to get the best, show their items in the best possible light. I'm going to help them with recommendations on types of products that they can try. I'm going to help with the descriptions and writing things and image photography in a lot of cases to help show those products the best that they can possibly be. The other thing is that I get involved a lot earlier. So instead of providing a framework and all of my vendors have to do all the work, I actually take over the sales process from the time the item is completed until it sells. So if I do my job right, somebody makes something, they get it ready for sale, they give it to me, and then they sit back and wait, and I'm going to write them a check when the item sells. So this is a really mutually beneficial arrangement. Because my vendors, most of them don't want to deal with customers. They're in it because they love to be creative. And by having somebody else take over that last chunk of the sales process, it means that they can finish an item, start another one right away. They don't have to, go out and look for customers. They don't have to post things online. They don't have to do customer follow-ups. That's all on me. I'm going to share things on social media so that they don't have to. I'm going to deal with the transaction, the answering questions, the going to the shipping department or the post office on their behalf and mailing things to customers. I'm going to follow up with you guys to make sure that everything arrived and that everything is in the condition that it should be. And this can be really good for my customers because a lot of I guess if anything's wrong, a lot of the time people don't want to tell the creators that something is wrong. I didn't make the items, so you can be brutally honest with me and I'm going to take care of you. So that is something that my vendors pay me to do. I take over the last 30% of the sales process. And I make 30% commissions. So you can take a look at all the items. Everything is priced so that it's the same price whether or not you buy from the vendor directly or from TheaBel. So you may as well support TheaBel because you can buy multiple items and there's a few perks that the vendors individually can't do. So that's kind of how we're different. We're more of a department store and everything's under one roof and we can save you some time and money. If you do have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to answer them. I know there is often a lot of confusion as to what exactly we do. So I hope that this video answers some of those questions. Anyway, hope you have a great evening and we will talk to you soon.